Hello, nice to have you join us on the news at 5. I'm Dominic Iwiwa, and these are the stories and reports we're tracking at the moment. The Armed Forces of Nigeria is again reaffirming the commitment of the military to secure the nation through both kinetic and non-kinetic avenues. Speaking in Gombe State at the graduation ceremony of the 744 clients of Operation Safe Corridor, the Director of Special Operations, Rear Admiral Kabiru Tanimu, who represented the Chief of Defense Staff, says the ceremony is a commitment of progress, a demonstration of national resolve, and a testimony to the power of strategic thinking in addressing the human dimensions of conflict. He explains that Operation Safe Corridor represents Nigeria's founding that while kinetic operations and military operations are essential ingredients to provide peace, lasting peace can only be achieved when it addresses the underlying drivers of fear, destabilization, disengagement, and disintegration. He adds that building a nation where even those who have strayed are given the proper path to retrace their steps is critical to enduring peace.
Operation Safe Corridor represents Nigeria's firm belief that while kinetic operations are necessary to neutralize threats, lasting peace can only be achieved when we address the underlying drivers of de-radicalization, disengagement, and disintegration. Today, we are witnessing the outcome of that belief as 744 individuals who once stood on the fringes of conflicts are now being given a structured pathway back into the society. This is not a reward, but a deliberate strategy to reduce violence, weaken extremist recruitment, and promote long-term stability. To the graduating students, let me speak directly to you. This program has given you an opportunity for reflection, for a change, and for a new beginning. You are returning not just to your communities, but to a responsibility to live peacefully, to contribute meaningfully, and to reject all forms of violence.
Florida State Representative Kimberly Daniels is calling for the removal of Nigeria's Defense Minister Bello Matawalle following a new report on the country's worsening security crisis. The assessment, released through the United World Congress of Diplomats, links recent mass killings in northern Nigeria to alleged targeted attacks on Christian communities. The report highlights a surge in violence during the 2026 Easter period in Plateau, Kaduna, and Nasarawa states, where worshippers were reportedly attacked during church services. While President Bola Tinubu condemned the killings, the report says there is a growing gap between government statements and the reality on ground. It also raises serious concerns about Matawale's past record, citing allegations of links to bandits groups and lack of strategic security experience. Daniels is urging immediate leadership changes, transparent investigations, and stronger protection for vulnerable communities. She also called on the United States and international partners to increase pressure on Nigeria to ensure accountability. Plateau State is receiving a major boost in humanitarian support as renowned cleric Joseph Selman donates relief materials worth over 100 million naira to victims of recent attacks. The donation comes amid renewed calls by religious and community leaders for urgent government action to stem further violence in the state. The development followed a courtesy visit by the cleric and his delegation to Governor Caleb Muftuang at the old government house in Rayfield, Jos. Our correspondent, Percy the Bank, reports.
Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang receives yet another set of visitors on a condolence call to the government in the wake of the attack on Angorukuba and other communities in Plateau State that left many people dead, others injured, and families grieving their loved ones. The latest callers are religious and community leaders led by the founder and senior pastor of Koinonia Global, Apostle Joshua Selman.
We're here first and foremost to identify...
They expressed solidarity with victims and reaffirmed support for ongoing efforts to address the security and humanitarian situation in the state.
Unfortunately, what has happened in the last, I would say, decades, and more so, the months that have passed, lives have been destroyed, several things have gone wrong that should not be. And I think that we're here to lend our voice to the government and the good people of Plateau that there is still hope for the Plateau. And this is the message. We bring a message of hope, a message of courage, a message of strength, that in the midst of the chaos, in the midst of the unfortunate incidences, God is still on the throne, and that there is always a way out.
Governor Mutfwang describes the visit as a strong expression of unity and collective responsibility in a time of crisis.
We'll continue to trust God to do our best to make sure that these kind of dastardly acts are not repeated. I want to let Plateau to keep knowing, just like Apostle Selman said, we must continue to remain hopeful, in the days ahead. And so we'll continue to trust God to shield us. We must do all we can to preserve Plateau.
Thank you very much.
The visitors did not come empty-handed. They presented relief materials worth over 100 million naira to support affected persons.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Everybody that is oppressed.
Meanwhile, a clergy and leadership expert, Reverend Gideon Paramalam, holds an engagement with victims of the attacks, calling on government to take decisive steps to prevent future occurrences.
You also heard very clearly from them that beyond anybody giving them material gifts, they're more interested in Nigeria fixing the security challenges of our country. That's the message that rang out very clearly from the survivors themselves, the need to address the security challenges.
Those affected believe that sustained collaboration between government, religious leaders, and communities remain crucial to restoring peace and stability in Plateau State. Percy Dabang, Channels Television News.
A major security breach has been averted in Akure as police foil a suspected bomb plot and arrest 6 individuals linked to a criminal network. The Ondo State Police Command says the suspects were apprehended on April 15 following actionable intelligence on a syndicate operating within and beyond the state. Commissioner of Police Adebowale Lawal revealed that detectives moved swiftly to intercept the group before the planned attack could be executed. A raid on their hideout in the Okeodu area led to the recovery of items believed to be components for improvised explosive devices, along with mobile phones, cash, laptops, and other materials linked to coordinated criminal activity. Investigators also uncovered documents pointing to potential targets, raising concerns about a wider operational network. Authorities warn that the suspects may be part of a broader threat beyond Akure as investigations continue. The police have now urged landlords and property owners to carry out proper background checks to prevent criminal elements from using residential spaces as operational bases. The Yobe State government has raised concerns over the growing influx of illegal miners in Gujba and Gulani local government areas following the discovery of mineral resources across several communities. The alarm was raised by the managing director of the Yobe Mining Development Company, Yerima Bamudu, during a stakeholders meeting in Damaturu. Officials say the state's ban on illegal mining remains in force as government engages traditional rulers, community leaders, and security agencies to address the development. The Commissioner for Wealth Creation, Aji Bularafa, and other stakeholders emphasized the need for cooperation to curb illegal activities.
Officials of the Yobe State government are engaged in local communities, traditional and religious leaders on the recent influx of illegal miners into several communities across Gujba and Gulani local government areas of the state. The state government had banned illegal mining in all parts, and this meeting is part of efforts to ensure that stakeholders cooperate with the security agencies to address the challenge.
You are all aware that a mineral resources was discovered in some areas in Gulan local government. And that mineral resource is a non-metallic ore, which is gold, that has been discovered in several places in Gulan local government and Gujiba. So we have started witnessing some foreigners. When I mean foreigners, they are not from Yobe State, started trooping to the area.
We are able to reorganize some of them, register them, and formalize them to become legal, to become miners that are legal, which is the same thing we are repeating in Gulani, where we have this new mineral that is coming out that means gold. We are trying to reorganize the community to make sure that they organize themselves, registered as legal miners, so that illegal mining will stop.
After deliberations with the stakeholders, the security advisor to Governor Mema Labuni outlined the security implication of the illegal mining.
These illegal miners are mostly ex-criminals that have seen a lot in terms of insecurity and criminality, and they are not afraid. They damn the consequences, they go wherever as long as they are able to make money. So illegal mining comes with a lot of insecurity. And you'll be astonished to know that as remote as Gulani is, or some parts where these mineral resources are available, you will not be able to go. You as a normal Nigerian, but you will see a Lebanese there, you will see a Chinese, you will see somebody from Europe.
The state government is urging anyone interested in mining in the areas to engage with it and follow the due process.
Now to legal matters, the Ogun Magistrates Court sitting in Shagamu local government area of Ogun State and presided over by Magistrate Olufunlayo Shomefun has adjourned the trial of the driver of the Lexus SUV Adini Mobalaji involved in the heavyweight boxing champion Anthony Joshua's road crash to 2nd of June. This is about the 4th time the case has been adjourned to allow the prosecuting team file fresh charges to the existing information on the case. The defendant, Adini Mobalaji, was charged on 4 counts, including dangerous driving causing death, reckless and negligent driving, contrary to Section 6, subsection 1 of the same Act, driving without due care and attention, causing bodily harm and damage to property, contrary to Section 7, subsection 1, driving without a valid national driver's license, contrary to Section 10, subsection 1 of the Federal Highway Act. Given her ruling on request for an adjournment by the prosecution counsel G. Oguyemi, the magistrate adjourned the case to the 2nd of June for proper hearing, which was not objected to by the defense counsel. Speaking after the proceeding, counsel to the defendant, Abiodun Olalekon, said the development is to ensure justice for all parties involved in the matter. You're watching the news at 5 on Channels Television. Right after this break, we'll bring you more stories making the rounds at the moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Cross River State's Governor, Basio II, has expressed appreciation for the visit and commitment of members of the Joint National Assembly Committee on the Niger Delta Development Commission, describing their oversight function as pivotal to national development. Speaking during a courtesy visit at the State Executive Council chamber in Calabar, the governor noted that the engagement would further strengthen collaboration between federal institutions and subnational governments, adding that such interactions help deepen governance outcomes. Governor Otu also acknowledged the impact of federal interventions in the state, emphasizing the need to sustain and properly implement them for the benefit of the people. Earlier, Chairman of the Senate Committee on NDDC, Senator Asuko Ekpeyong, explained that the visit was part of the committee's constitutional mandate to assess projects and ensure value for public resources. Kogi State Governor Mr. Usman Ododo has commended President Tinubu for what he described as bold economic reforms and visionary leadership, saying his policies are already translating into tangible developments across states. The governor stated this during the commissioning of the GYB Model Science Secondary School in Nagazi in Adavi local government area of Kogi State. Governor Ododo described President Tinubu as a visionary leader, committed to repositioning Nigeria through investments in human capital development and education reform.
Governor Usman Ododo arrives in company of the Minister for Education, Dr. Maruf Alausa, for the commissioning of the GYB Model Science Secondary School, initiated by the administration of Yahya Bello. You can see it all over your faces. Traditional rulers, educationists, youths, women and other stakeholders converge on the school premises in Nagazi to witness the unveiling as the State Commissioner for Education sets the tone for the event.
We have a government that is unreversedly committed, irreversibly committed to the funding, planning, and creating legislation to guide us in Kogi State, which is why we are moving at a pace and we cannot be distracted because we have carefully planned, we have legislated, and we are funding.
It's a joyous moment for Governor Ododo, who tells the people that the federal government has shown courage and clarity in laying a solid foundation for sustainable growth and national prosperity, an agenda the Kogi State government aligns with.
There's a wise saying that when you educate a child, you empower a generation. Today, we gather to empower generations yet unborn. We are creating an identity for Kogi as a state that cherishes knowledge with an achievable ambition to becoming the nation's knowledge center in the nearest future.
In addition to this, the Minister of Education says his ministry is implementing far-reaching reforms aimed at strengthening technical education and promoting girl-child education across the country.
These achievements position Kogi State as a shining example and a partner in progress in our collective quest to transform education in Nigeria. As the Federal Ministry of Education, under the able and visionary leadership of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, we're implementing far-reaching reforms through Nigeria Education Sector Renewal Initiative. These reforms are anchored on expanding access to quality education, particularly science, technology, mathematics, engineering, and medical sciences.
The dignitaries then commissioned the school. Governor Ododo was also at the Okebukun in Kababunu local government area to commission the GYB Model Secondary School in that zone.
I want to appeal to the community that they should take charge of this school. This is their property, it's a legacy project. They should take charge, they should do everything possible to make sure that this school is well maintained.
This school has been carefully designed to provide not just assets, but quality. It offers modern classroom that encourage learning, a well-equipped library that stimulates learning, and functional science and ICT laboratories that promote practical knowledge.
The Kogi State Governor then commissions the project and inspects the facilities, guided by the Commissioner for Education in the state.
And on business news, the International Monetary Fund says Nigeria's debt-to-GDP ratio is projected to rise to 33.1% by 2027, reflecting continued fiscal pressures and borrowing needs. The projection is contained in the IMF's latest fiscal outlook, which tracks medium-term debt trends across emerging economies. Recent data from the Debt Management Office shows Nigeria's total public debt rose to 159.27 trillion naira at the end of 2025, up by 5.98 trillion naira quarter-on-quarter and 14.6 trillion naira year-on-year, underscoring the country's rising debt burden. Analysts say the outlook highlights the need for stronger revenue mobilization and sustained fiscal reforms to ensure debt sustainability. Meanwhile, developing countries have launched the first ever borrowers platform at the IMF and World Bank spring meetings, marking a major step to reshape the global financial system. The initiative brings together finance ministers and central bank governors to strengthen debt management, improve coordination, and amplify the collective voice in global debt discussions. The United Nations says the platform will allow borrowing nations to share experiences and engage more effectively with creditors. UN Trade and Development will serve as the secretariat, providing technical support and policy guidance to participating countries. Nigeria's federal government is proposing a fresh tax measure targeting company profits retained within businesses in a move aimed at boosting revenue generation. The policy, which is generating concern among stakeholders, seeks to tax undistributed earnings as part of wider fiscal reforms. Speaking on Business Morning earlier today, managing consultant and CEO of Flame Academy and Consulting Limited, Oji Udemezwe, warned that the measure could discourage investment, adding that some companies may consider relocating if tax pressure becomes too heavy, especially for large firms.
There is already tax that is, how do I put it? To be paid, deferred and payable in the future. Without looking at the other intention of the company, not to pay that money out, but to put it as part of their capital. Because when you have retained earnings, your capital increases just like your asset. The asset equals capital plus liability. So every time you retain some money, you intend to improve the capacity of your business to produce more. So what this policy is going to do, with all due respect to government's intention to improve, is to almost like punish companies for retaining some of their profits. Some way you might say that government is targeting some organizations, particularly international companies.
There are things about
because there are some games companies play here to evade taxation. All right? But if you now, because of that, want to now throw a policy that will now, generally attack everybody, you have to consider the do's. I mean, how do I put it? The pros and cons. Government knows who they are targeting. But in doing this, we have to be careful. We have to be careful because if people feel overburdened by, taxation, the incentive, the desire to invest in Nigeria will reduce. This will likely curtail both foreign direct investors and foreign portfolio, where mainly foreign direct investors into the country.
Nigeria's financial markets recorded strong activity in the first quarter of 2026, with total turnover hitting 193.2 trillion naira, driven largely by foreign exchange transactions and open market operations (OMO) bills. Data from FMDQ Exchange shows that FX trades, OMO bills, and other money market instruments accounted for the bulk of trading activity. Analysts say the performance highlights sustained investor participation in short-term instruments amid shifting liquidity and interest rate conditions. The turnover underscores the dominance of FX-related transactions in Nigeria's organized financial markets. And that's it on the news at 5 on Channels Television. For updates, kindly visit our website. That's www.channelstv.com. I'm Dominic Iwiwu. Up next is The World Today.